Hey y'all, welcome to the 32nd episode of the Yarn This podcast. I'm Shama, Jessie's Girl 84 on Ravelry, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find my Yarn This groups on Ravelry and Facebook. If this is your first time watching, thanks for giving me a shot. If you're one of my returning yarnies, thanks so much for coming back. Today is Monday, February 18th, 2018. It's been forever since I recorded. I have lots of good reasons. Most of them not bad, just a crazy busy time, especially in the fall and around Christmas time, and it just took me a while to kind of get things back together after the first of the year. But we'll talk about all that in a little while. But you came to talk about knitting, so let's get to it. Puppy love, my works in progress. I'm working on a few things right now. One thing is going to be recurring. We'll talk about that. I always have socks, and so let's get started with a pair of socks. The socks that I'm working on, and I cast on, I believe in the fall sometime, are my Jemima Puddle Duck socks. Maybe I should start over. No. Jemima Puddle Duck socks by K.F. Jones. She's Bryony Bear from Bakery Bears podcast. And this is what I've gotten so far. And there's a reason I didn't do a contrast cuff, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But this yarn is called Jelly Belly, and it's by Brazen Stitchery. And I got this little blue or turquoise ball for the contrast toe, heel, and cuff. I have a hard time with that every time. Anyway, this is a really fun sock. This is actually the second one, so I'll show you the first one in my FOs. But I'm using US 1.5, 2.5 millimeter needles, and right now it's on my 9-inch circs. I can't think anyway. But I have purchased some Knit Pro Zings. I might even get the interchangeable set. But I'm always cracking, or somehow my Knit Picks wooden double points get cracked a lot. So then when I'm knitting, it's catching the yarn in it. Not so much my my sock needles, but for bigger projects, hats, other things that I was working on. And so when I'm knitting with it, a broken one, I have to remember to flip it around when I come back around. And it's a real pain in the butt. And most of the time I don't remember. But it slows me down, even if I do, you know. So I decided to try these Knit Pro Zings by Knitter's Pride. And I wasn't sure because I don't like metal needles, mainly because they're too slippery. And a lot of times they're just too heavy. And several years ago, I was out with my family taking pictures, but I was knitting a sock while we were waiting. And I dropped one of my metal DPNs. And I wanted to catch it before it hit the ground so I wouldn't lose it. And when I did, I reached to grab it, and it went like this, and I ended up impaling my palm and my thigh. I cried. I was a little embarrassed, but it really hurt, and it took forever for those two little places to heal. But, so I pretty much got away from the metal needles at that point, and I wanted to try these. So, here they are, and I'm going to move my socks to these. I just wanted to get started on my circs. Later on, I'm going to talk about these and give you a review and show you the ones that I've purchased and talk about that a little bit. But Knit Pro Zings, I'll be moving the sock onto those very quickly. Okay, so that's my first whip, and as y'all can tell, I'm having a hard time getting back into the swing of it, so if you'll just please hang with me, I'll get back into it. Okay, the next thing I'm working on is the tricolor ornament. It's the number 9 in the Knitted Christmas, 55 Knitted Christmas Balls book by Arnie and Carlos. Put this down. I'm doing these pretty much out of acrylic. I'm afraid of critters getting into wool because of where we keep our Christmas ornaments. So I would rather just keep it acrylic. Plus, you know, I don't have to go out and look for worsted weight yarn. I know that theirs are probably done on fingering weight a lot. I'm not sure actually. But I prefer to do them on worsted so I have a little bit more room. Anyway, my goal is to knit all 55 balls out of this book, but then I found some more that they designed that were free, and they are a little smaller. I think they said they had Japanese fans that don't have trees nearly as big as some other people's, like Americans and maybe Norwegians, and so they designed these smaller ones. And so I've got quite a few to knit. But anyway, this is the number 9 in the book. It's tricolor. Let me see if I can do this without showing you. Here's what it looks like. Now, I love traditional Christmas colors, but I also love not traditional Christmas colors. Oh, this is the book, by the way. 55 Christmas Balls to Knit by Arnie and Carlos. This book is amazing. Once I got started around Christmas, I didn't get very many knit because I had other knitting I had to do, but it wasn't because I wanted to stop. And I actually knitted times when I should have been knitting on other projects. So anyway, this particular ornament, my base color is going to be this Heather Solstice, which is on Knit Picks Brava worsted. This beautiful blue. This is one of my favorite blues. It's amazing. But the two contrast colors, like I said, are not going to be very traditional. This lime green and this, oops, sorry, I'm hung up here, tropical pink. Both of these are I Love This Yarn by Hobby Lobby, worsted weight. And this ornament is going to be so pretty, in my opinion. I know people love traditional colors, and most of Arnie and Carlos's ornaments are knit in like red and white, but I like to do mine in different. So that's the one I've got on right now on my needles. I'm actually planning to knit them throughout the year because, first of all, Christmas is my most favorite time of the year, so I can have a little Christmas going in my knitting all the time. Plus, my parents gave me a couple of their old trees, and I put one of them up in the corner in my dining room this year, and I started putting handmade ornaments on it. So I want to fill that tree up. It was the most satisfying tree. As much as I love all my Christmas trees, that one just, it just made me so happy. So that tree is going to be filled more and more every year with hand knit and other handmade ornaments. And I'll show you the ones that I knitted. Everything's put away. I put it up a couple of weeks ago. I guess I took my stuff down maybe 3 weeks ago, and so everything's put up. But hopefully next year I'll have my act together and I can record during the Christmas season and y'all can see my decorations. Okay, let me think. What else do I have working? Oh yeah, top-down preemie hats. I have one on the needles right now. I started it yesterday morning before church, and I recently decided I've never ever had the nerve to knit in church because I feel like people won't think it's proper, that they'll think that I'm just playing instead of paying attention. And I have to be honest with you, I've been knitting in church for 3 or 4 weeks now, and I am more focused than I have been in a long time. As I've gotten older, my focus has just gone out the window. So knitting on something simple, not something I have to think about, is really doing the trick for me. So I felt like I could knit on these top-down preemie hats. I knit these for my friends to give in little gift bags or like care packages at the NICU on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And I didn't get any done this past year because Dad was sick for more than half of the year. And so I said I was going to get on it this year, and I feel like if I do this, I can probably get 2 done a month. So this is what I got done yesterday, and I'm probably, let's see, probably close to halfway done or more. So I'll keep going with these, and I'll show you as I finish them. They'll pretty much all be the same. I'll show you the yarn I'm using. And again, it's acrylic because you don't want to put wool on a baby that you don't even know. You don't know if they're allergic or whatever. So I'm using I Love This Yarn metallic in, I think it's just called Christmas. Yeah, the Christmas colorway. And I do love this. Wow, I love this particular yarn. I've got a caked up skein that I'm working from right now. And I've got this, which is also, I love this yarn, metallic and white. You see the sparkle? Not really showing up that well. It's very sparkly though. There you go, you can see it now. I'm doing this for the brim of the edge of the hat. I would really love to do it in like a fuzzy yarn, but again, you know, you don't want that in the baby's faces and stuff. So and the hospital that I knit for is Methodist, which is up by where we live. It's a kind of a branch of the main Methodist hospital downtown Houston. But if they have babies that are very premature or very small, they don't keep them at the NICU at this hospital. They send them down to Texas Children's. So I don't ever knit the tiniest. I don't knit the first 2 or 3 smallest sizes. And I did, the other day, I knit one that was for a full-term baby because both of my babies stayed in NICU. They were full-term and they were both over 8 pounds, but they had fluid in their lungs for some reason. But anyway, so there are full-term babies in there and big babies that need, you know, hats for bigger babies. So I'm going to do 2 or 3 of those, and then I'm going to do 2 or 3 each or so of the smaller ones as well. Anyway, it's a fun little knit, and I'm helping out my friends, and I'm also giving back for when my babies were so well cared for in the NICU. And the last thing that I'm really not working on right now, but I cast on Christmas Day, and as soon as I finish my Jemima Puddle Duck socks, I'm going to get back to these. These are also socks by K.F. Jones that she designed for Christmas, and they're called the Blizzard socks. Now you're not going to see much at all because I cast on Christmas Day and had to come back home and finish up a Christmas gift. So I only got a little bit done on Christmas Day, and then I got back to my Jemima Puddle Duck socks. But here's what I've gotten done so far. Can you see? Really, you just are seeing the pink, tiny bit of the body. I've got this adorable little peppermint cupcake and this gingerbread man and this Christmas tree. Let's see here. Turn it around, sorry. There you go. I can't even remember now why I needed these. It's just easier for me not to have to think. And if there's a mistake, I can find out in each section. So I like to use them, always have, and probably always will. The yarn I'm using is Artistic Yarn by Abby. Oh, let me put this away. It's in my way, sorry. I'm going to pause you. Okay, sorry about that. So the yarn that I'm using to knit these Blizzard socks by K. Jones is the Gingerbread Stripe Sock Yarn. This is by Artistic Yarn by Abby, and here it is. I think I showed y'all this back when I got it, and I bought it from her back in the summer after I finished my Wonder Woman socks. That was also her yarn. She has amazing yarn, and I thought I'd go ahead and treat myself to this back then, and then I didn't cast it on until Christmas Day, and this is the contrast pink that you see right up here. This pattern by K. Jones is actually not intended to be knit on self-striping, but I wanted to knit this sock, and I wanted to use that yarn. And so, let me see if I can find this pattern to show you. It's got like a Christmas tree. Here it is. At the top. So you can see it's probably, probably not, the pattern's not going to show up that great, but I'll know it's there and I'll show y'all and you'll see it. And I'm excited about it. I think it's a great pattern, and Kay always writes, I love her patterns. Okay. Anyway, so those are the things that I've been working on, and now let's go on to the things that I finished. And there have been quite a few that I finished since we last talked, and I'm just going to briefly cover them because I just want to show you what I've done. By the way, this episode is probably going to be longer than any other, so, break it up into several parts. I thought about breaking it up into more than one episode, but I know that if I try to do that, I'm probably not going to get back to finishing it up. So my best bet is just to keep going and hope y'all stay on for the ride. Okay, so another one bites the dust. First, I'm going to show you my hoe, and this is my finished Jemima Puddle Duck sock that I showed you in the beginning. Again, it's by Kay Jones Bryony Bear of the Bakery Bears podcast. And here it is. The reason, a while ago, I showed you that I did not do a contrast cuff, that's because when I got to the toe of this, for some reason, I forgot to change my contrast. I don't know why. So I'm just going to do no contrast up here, and then contrast heel and toe. A contrast heel is so much easier for me to see what I'm doing. It keeps it in focus for me. But anyway, I love this pattern. It's super squish. You can see how squishy it is, and stretchy. It's a really nice stretchy sock. I'm not really wearing my hand knits right now, and I'm going to talk about that towards the end. I hope I remember to tell you about it. If not, I'll talk about it next time. But anyway, Jemima Puddle Duck by K.F. Jones Bryony Bear. It smells good too, because it hasn't been on my feet. Okay, so that's one of the things that I finished. I'm going to go back now and show you the things that I finished over the fall and into Christmas. I decided, and I'm not sure if I told y'all this, to knit all of my dad's caregivers a cowl. That included his doctor, her nurse, the chemo nurses, the ones that did his infusions, the girl that took his blood every time we went because she did such a good job. And then there was a girl who weighed him and checked all of his vitals when he went in to have his infusions every time, and she was so sweet. So I just decided to knit everyone a cowl. I started to do scarves, but my friends talked me out of it, which was a good thing because it took me up till almost the last minute to get all the cowls done. So this first one is the Ever After cowl, and I did this for Dr. Doshi. I did it, well, here's the cowl. And I have to tell you, her reaction was priceless. She was so excited. And then she told us that she knits. And she told us about this blanket she started with for her son before he was born. And he's 12, and she's still working on it. And she said, what am I supposed to do with it? I said, why don't you just go ahead and finish it off and save it for his first child? So she said, that's a great idea. Anyway, she's the best doctor. She's so funny. She's got such a good personality. She's loving. She hugged us. She was concerned about us. She answered every question we had. She talked to us just about stuff, about life. When we were there for Dad's first follow-up last week, I was knitting on the Jemima Puddle Duck sock, and she stopped and she was like, how do you do that? She said, I've only ever just knit straight and flat. And so I was showing her, and she was talking, and my dad's crazy, and he said, y'all are sitting there talking about knitting, and I'm over here dying. And she kind of popped him on the leg, and she said, you're not dying. Anyway, she's great. So I did this for her, and she loved it. And she said that the other day when we went back to see her that she'd been to San Francisco, and she took it, and she said it was great because she threw it on, and then when she got to her meetings, she took it off and dropped it in her purse, and then she could throw it in her suitcase, and it was easy to manage. And so I was so happy that I did that for her. The next one I did, I don't have a finished picture. This one is the Cherry Blossom Cowl by Maggie Murphy. And I did this one for Jessica, one of my dad's infusion nurses. She got married in January, and they went on their honeymoon to Japan. And she said her one regret was that they weren't going to be there when the cherry blossoms were blooming. So I did this Cherry Blossom Cowl for her. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little stitch pattern in there that's supposed to represent the cherry blossoms. And this one was a longer one than Dr. Doshi's, but Jessica loved it. And when I saw her the other day, she had literally just gotten back like 4 days before from her honeymoon. And she said she wore her cowl on her honeymoon, which just filled my heart up. The next one I did was the Raindrop Cowl. Oh, I cannot remember who. Oh, I think I did this one for the girl who drew my dad's blood, I think. Oh, I can't believe I didn't put it down. Anyway, I found this stitch pattern called the raindrop pattern, and it looks like raindrops. I loved it so much. So I knit it. This is a pattern. Oh, you know what? I made this up. Yeah, it was just a stitch pattern. I didn't really make it up. And I don't remember where I found that stitch pattern. It was in a stitch dictionary. I was going crazy, not like in a bad way, but just going like trying to get all the cows done before my dad's final treatment and everything. And so there's stuff I left off. I did knit all of these on size 7 needles. And this particular one, I knit out of the Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn print in the Sea Muse colorway. And it is a very subtle, soft print. And oh yeah, I'll tell you what the other yarns were. The one for the Cherry Blossom Cow, I did that out of Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Multi Prints and Stripes in the purple multicolor. And that's the only yarn I used in that. It's a beautiful yarn. And yes, I know they're acrylic. But I really didn't know if anybody would know how to take care of them. I didn't want them to feel like they had to hand wash them and give them all these instructions for a gift. This is you have to treat my gift, you know. This first one I did for Dr. Doshi was knit out of Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn print and Tangerine Bubblegum. That's the pinky orangey one. She had told us, I asked everybody their favorites, and she said she loved pinks and bright colors, and so I took everybody's favorites. Now this next one is called We Didn't Start the Fire, Cal. And this was another stitch pattern I found. Now this was for Andrea. This was Dr. Doshi's PA. She told me that her favorite colors were black and pink and purple. So I went ahead and knit her cow out of all 3 colors. And I found this I don't know where I found the stitch pattern. I am so sorry, y'all. But anyway, here's her cow. And she was so happy to get it. And I was really, I mean, not to brag, but I was pleased with the way they turned out. And we couldn't have done this without these people. They were amazing. And I wanted to give a little something back. You could never do enough. Never do enough to thank them. And this one is called That Nice Stitch Cowl. And this is a pattern by someone called Susan Ashcraft. By Susan Ashcraft. Again, I didn't put down who these were for because I knit this one out of the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Multi in the Denim Blues. And this is how it came out. I was really, really pleased with this one. I liked the diagonal stitch pattern. And the shades of blue and anything denim. I'm always about the denim. So, and then the last one of the girls said, and I believe it was Chi-Chi, who was another one of my dad's chemo nurses, said that her favorite color was black. I said, oh great, thanks. Anyway, I found a pattern called The Reindeer Tracks Cow by Donna Heron. I finished it on November 11th, and his final treatment was November 13th. Anyway, this was a fun little pattern, and it was more Christmassy. And because it's black and sparkly, because I Love This Yarn Metallic in the black colorway, it is really, really hard to see the pattern. But here it is up close. And all you can see is black and sparkle. But anyway, they were all very pleased with them. And I'll talk some more about my dad's final treatment and everything towards the end. Okay, now I'm going to quickly run through the ornaments that I made and then the little Christmas gifts. And yeah, so the first one I did was all of the balls that I knit were from 55 Christmas Balls to Knit by Arnie and Carlos. The first one is the first one in the book, and it's called the Snow Crystal Ornament. And I knit this one out of Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn print in Be Still and red tweed. Here's more of an up-close look at it. And here it is in the tree. This was the first one I hung up there. I was so excited to get that one hung up, even though it was the one and only at that point. Then this was the next one. Now this one I did knit out of wool, sock yarn. This is the Sparkly Snowman. This is Christmas Ball number 5 in their book. I knit this one on size 0 needles out of Dream in Color Starry from their 2015 January Dream Club, and the Knit Pick Stroll Glimmer in their white colorway. So this was the little snowman ornament, which I love, love, love snowmen. And the bottom of it was in that blue. And this is another one of my favorite blue yarns. I just loved that blue. It's so, so, so true blue. And here it is in the tree. Oh, I had so much fun at Christmas with all of this. The next ornament was Christmas Ball 3 in their book. And I call it Snowflakes on Red. And I used Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn print in Be Still and red tweed. Now this is the one I showed you before. This was the same 2 yarns, but this time I reversed it. The main color, the background color, is the red, and then the Be Still is the one that's for the snowflakes. Oh, there's the ornament. Oh, so much fun. If you love Christmas, I really, really strongly recommend getting this book. The next one that I knit, or actually the last one I knit before I started the one I showed you earlier, is a Christmas Clover. It's Christmas Ball 18, and I knitted it out of the Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn Forest, and another one that I forgot to put down. Anyway, this one is so, so pretty. I love that pattern. And here's the tree with some of the ornaments. You can't see them all that clearly, but it sure is a cozy picture. I just never ever get enough Christmas. I'm sure y'all have figured that out by now. And those of you that know me in real life know it's all Christmas all the time. Okay, so I found a little crochet ornament that it was called a Christmas Snow Globe. It's a tiny little crochet ornament, but she took like little buttons, Christmas buttons, and put in the snow globe part to make it look like it was the inside of the snow globe. I spent sinful amounts of time trying to find the buttons that I wanted, and I couldn't find anything that was just perfect. I found some things that were cute, and I'm going to use them. I think I know how I'll use them. But the set of buttons she used were really, really cute and really expensive, in my opinion. It was like over $20. But I'm going to keep looking for Christmas buttons throughout the year, and I'll probably just build up a collection, which is what I did. I got some, like I said, and I went ahead and took all my buttons out of the jar at that time that I was working on these and divided them into colors. So much better. Anyway, this is the one, and I took some little buttons and made like a little Christmas tree out of it, and so here it is. And like I said, it's called the Christmas Snow Globe. Snow Globe Ornaments by Sarah Zimmerman, and it's crocheted. Y'all, I did nothing. I didn't put the size hook I used on this one. Sorry. Anyway, you can look up that pattern. A lot of people were crocheting over Christmas. I finally got to the Christmas presents that I knit, which was just 3 this year for my nephews and my niece. My oldest nephew is reading this book series about dragons, and he loves it, and he wants me to knit all of the dragons, and he sent me a picture of them, what colors they are. So I got one of them knitted for me. It really wasn't difficult, except that you have to put wire in to shape like the tail and the back of him and his wings. And I couldn't get the wire not to poke out, but he's 12 years old, so I think he's going to be okay with it. I did cut it off and kind of shove it back up in there a couple of times just to make it a little shorter. But I used US 5 needles. This is the Dragon Doll by Nerd Knitting. This is a really great little pattern. There are a lot of really cute dragon patterns. A lot of them are more kind of like cartoony, but he wanted this particular one, and it's small. Some of them are huge, but this was perfect. And I love this yarn in forest and orange, and here he is. I'll show you the different views. Here's his face. There is his wing, one of his wings, and his tail, and see he's got these little horns. There he is, standing upright. Although he doesn't stand up on his own, I was kind of holding him. And then you go in and you do French knots down the back for the spine, and that kind of helps cover up your needles, as well as doing the little, I guess these are supposed to be like, I'm not really sure on his wings. Anyway, I didn't get to see him this year for Christmas or Thanksgiving. So I'm not really sure what they thought. I feel like they probably were pretty happy. And my niece wanted a snow tiger. I told y'all that months ago, and she wanted it out of pink, purple, and blue with green in it. So I used the Tiger Lily by Barbara Prime, and there's his face. I thought he turned out pretty cute. There is his whole body. And there's his back, his tail, and how it kind of pooled into blue and right in the back of his head. Anyway, I thought he turned out pretty good. And then the last gift I knitted for Christmas, my younger nephew could not come up with something for me to knit for him, so we decided Mario would be a good one. I looked and looked and looked, and I started to crochet one, and I thought, no, I'm putting myself under too much pressure to do that. And this was the one I didn't finish till right after Christmas, but like I said, I didn't see them at Christmas anyway, so I just mailed them to him. But this is actually the Mario Chocolate Orange cover by Mary Lucas. Now, I decided instead of making it the orange chocolate cover, I just stuffed it. Like, I went down, decreased until it met at the bottom, and I stuffed his body instead of putting the chocolate in there. So, here he is. Oh, sorry. There he is. So I thought he turned out pretty good as well. So my Christmas knitting was I mean, I finished it anyway and got it to him. And then since then, I haven't really finished much, and there's a reason for that, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I had this little kindness monster. It was a free download, and it's by Rachel Borello Carroll. I'd had that in my library for a while, and I decided I just wanted to do something quick and easy and fun. So I knitted it, a little kindness monster. And I used a Hobby Lobby, I love this yarn print, and Sea Muse, and Parrot Stripe. So I did the body out of Sea Muse, and you can go back in and duplicate stitch a little heart on the face, which I did in a pink. And then I knitted this hat out of the Red Heart Super Saver Stripes Parrot Stripe. And I love the blue, but I wanted the next part of the yarn that I didn't get to because it's got really long color repeats was this green. So I knitted that one as well. So that was a fun little knit just for me. Where is he? Oh, well, you can't see him. right there. Okay. Let's see, what else have I finished? Oh yeah, I did finish another ornament after Christmas. And this is the Christmas tree ornament. I can't remember what number it is in their book. I did this one out of red and green, believe it or not. In Hobby Lobbies, I love this yarn, red and forest. And I knit all these ornaments, I didn't say this, out of worsted weight yarn on size 5 needles. So here's the Christmas tree one. I love this one. I can actually see myself making these, maybe reverse it, have a green background with a red tree, white with a blue tree, a silver tree, because I have 2 silver trees. So I'm not really sure, but I feel pretty confident that I'll be knitting more of that particular one. So the last thing that I finished is this Copycat Dishcloth by Michelle Krause, and I actually had this one, and it's very simple. It's mostly garter stitch with a little stockinette, and I decided to do contrast in the stockinette part. Very quick, very easy. I used Knit Picks Dishy Solids in the Kanai, which is that dark green, and then the silver colorways. I love knitting dishcloths from time to time, and I think that the Yarn Hoarder is actually having that knit along again this year. You don't win any prizes, I don't think, but you just knit a lot of dishcloths throughout the year, and so I might hop on that bandwagon again. I won't get one a week knitted, but I do enjoy a good dishcloth. Okay, now, I had some other pictures I wanted to show you. One of the things Arnie and Carlos did over Christmas was Arnie was knitting like garland out of metallic yarns. I loved it. Carlos didn't like it so much. He wanted to find places outside to hang it up. Anyway, so I held a red and a green together, and all you do is you just cast on, I can't remember how many stitches I cast on now, and you just knit a big, I held these yarns together, so you just knit a big I-cord. And I personally enjoy I-cord. I think I did it at the movies at one point and just kept going and going and going with it. Anyway, let me find my pictures and I'll show you. But I hung it up. I hung this up over one of my windows. I have this really big window. And first of all, I should have measured better, and I didn't make it quite long enough. Also, once I hung it up there, even though it was really sparkly, it didn't show up at all. My family didn't even notice it. I had to point it out to them. And it didn't hurt my feelings because even I couldn't see it and I knew it was there. So next year I'll probably do more of these, but I'll do in brighter colors. So let me find these ornaments. Or these things that I've made. Let's see. Oh yeah, I have to show y'all. I got these slippers from Walmart. Oops, sorry. From Walmart for Christmas. I wore those suckers all the time. We went to the East Texas Fiber Festival and I took them and I wore them around the hotel. Anyway, next year I have to show y'all all the stuff that I do, because I love making stuff and putting stuff out for Christmas. Well, I'm still looking for that. And I'm going to show you some more things. Oh yeah, the girls and I got together one day and made felt ornaments. I bought and downloaded some felt Christmas ornament patterns. And this is a little bit blurry, but mine is a Santa. And I hung him up in my handmade Christmas tree. And the other girls made different ones, and they were so cute. We also took those clear glass ornaments and filled them with glitter and made some beautiful ornaments like that. My little friend made me a set of ornaments for the all the Hogwarts colors. The glitter he used was for the Hogwarts house colors. I hope I don't forget to come back and show you all the other stuff that I did. Anyway, on with the show. So the reason that I haven't gotten any more finished is a new segment that I'm going to talk about. And I do realize this isn't the name of the song, but I'm going to take the line from it that everybody knows because it fits. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. I have been to the frog pond not once, not twice, not 3 times, and not really 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 5. 1 is technically not frogged yet, but it's going to be in the next, maybe even tonight. And the other one, I'll have to explain. So the first thing that I'm going to frog is A Mother's Heart Shawl by Debbie Reese of the Periscoping Sisters. Now, let me say, it's a great pattern. It's well written, and I do like it. It's very pretty, but it's an asymmetrical shawl, and I'm not good with them. I don't ever know how to wear them, and I've seen people model how to do them, and I just never feel right. I feel like one side of me is covered, but part of the reason I wear shawls, yes, they're pretty, but I wear them also to keep warm. So having it on one shoulder and not the other kind of defeats the purpose. On top of which, I've had it on the needles for going on 2 years now. And I'll pick it up and work on it for a while. But the yarn is Yarn at Home Mom Basic Fingering in the Jessie's Girl colorway. Okay, I bought this yarn because it's Jessie's Girl. My favorite song of all time, which you probably know if you've watched before, and especially if you're one of my real life friends. I want to use that yarn. I want to put it into something that I'm going to finish, something I'm going to wear all the time. And so that one is fixing to come off the needles and get frogged. And I'm sorry, I do love it, Debbie. I know she's not watching. But anyway, I do love the pattern. Unless I get in there and look at it and go, I have to finish it, it's coming off the needles in the next 24 hours. The next thing was Marley Bird had a Super Bowl mystery knit along. And I thought, that'll be fun. And I'll just work on it through the day, which I did. And I couldn't keep up with it. You had until midnight, I believe, on Monday night, the day after the Super Bowl, to finish it. And I would have. But by the end of the day, she had all of the clues out, and it turned out to be one of those hats that she wears a lot when she travels. If you know anything about Marley Bird, and I'm sure you do, it's knitted hats that she knits, and then they have one of those like brims on them. Well, I knew that wasn't going to look good on me, and honestly, I don't know anybody who would wear them. So I just went ahead and frogged that. So that's number 2 on the frog to the frog pond. The next thing was an Arnie and Carlos pattern. If y'all can believe it, I frogged an Arnie and Carlos pattern. And there were 2 reasons for that. It is the hat with the pearl X and O. Fair Isle. The hat is beautiful. The pattern is, of course, very well written. The problem is, number 1, I did not like the yarns I was using. They were acrylic. I don't just have bulky wool sitting around, real wool sitting around, and I wanted to cast on. So, but the other problem for me was the purling. I found myself just knitting the X's and the O's, and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to have to rip back every round because I forgot to purl and get distracted in the middle of that round and start knitting again. Anyway, I went ahead and frogged it. They do have another pattern that's similar to that one that is strictly knit, so it has the V-stitches because it's knit in the round. It's stockinette. And I'll probably go back and knit that one eventually once I buy the yarn for it. And I might even come back to this one and try seeing what it would be like if I just knitted instead of purled with better yarn. Anyway, the next thing that I frogged, there's a beautiful crochet basket. It's 12 inches around and like 14 inches tall. And I thought that would be so pretty to have some of those around the house and just toss stuff in them. Well, you have to hold 3 worsted weight yarns together, which is not a problem. I hold yarns together all the time in knitting. You have to use a really big crochet hook. Again, it was hurting my hands, but I stopped every round or so. But when I got to the end of the base, It was only 9 inches across, and I thought, no, 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 I'm not going to do this. It needs to be the size it's going to be because I wanted a big basket. 12 inches isn't huge, but it would have been sufficient to put things in. So I went ahead and just frogged it because I know I'm a tight crocheter, and I might not ever get back to that. Poppy, stop. Poppy. Sorry, my dog is down here chewing on something. Hold on 1 second. Poppy. Don't. Sorry. Anyway. And the last thing is not technically frogged, but I found this adorable schnauzer pattern in, I'll find the magazine, it's right here. Well, maybe not. Hang on, let me get my magazines here. This was in the Let's Knit, I believe it was the December issue, and it was the cutest. They had little dogs. I can't find the pattern now. Anyway, I knitted this schnauzer, and it was not a fun pattern to knit. It's tiny and it was cute, but it just wasn't fun. I don't know if it was that it was not well written, or if it was me, but I can't find the pattern here. I wouldn't really recommend it. And then when I got to the end, his little paw just popped open. That was my fault. That was not the pattern's fault. I know that. But I just was so frustrated at that point, I just threw it away. Shh, Poppy, come here. She gets upset when people come to the door. So those are all the projects that I have wasted time knitting or crocheting. All but one of them since the first of the year. So, you know, sometimes you just have to go through a burst of frogging, I guess. Anyway, hopefully next time we won't be going to the frog pond with Jeremiah. Now, on to the final countdown. I am going to be doing a gnome knit along with Imagined Landscapes. I haven't actually knit one of her gnomes yet, but I have all of her gnome patterns. I bought them in the last few months. I love gnomes. So I'm going to do this now. I don't like to do mystery knit alongs, even though I do sometimes, but I know that this is going to be a gnome, and I'm very excited. If you go ahead and pay for it now, I think it's like $2, and it starts March 11th, and it doesn't take much yarn. It's not going to take a lot of time. I think you get a new clue like every third or fourth day, something like that. So I'm definitely going to be doing that, and I want to add her gnomes, all of them. I want to get all of them knit. Also, I'm going to continue to work on preemie hats, Christmas balls, and I have a little tree that I leave up year round. Sometimes it doesn't even have lights on it, but I put some blue lights on it the other day, and I put my Arnie and Carlos bird that I knit for myself in it, and I think I'm going to knit some more Arnie and Carlos birds to put in it. And maybe some other little animals, maybe some teeny tiny mochi animals. I know she has like a squirrel, and they don't even have to be tree animals. Just because I want to knit them and put them in there, I will. Anyway, the last thing that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be casting on is for a knit along with the Bakery Bears called the Now That's What I Call Knitting Knit Along. Y'all know those albums, Now That's What I Call Music? Well, they found a channel the other day. Poppy, get down. Hold on, let me pause it. Okay, so they want this to be along the lines of one of your favorite songs, maybe your favorite genre of music or something, but I think more along the lines of your favorite song. So obviously, Jessie's Girl is the song I'm going with. There is a Jessie's Girl cardigan. It's a short-sleeved cardigan. It's a long, not super long, but it will cover your rear end, which I need. By Elizabeth Smith, The Brown Stitch. And I'm looking for a neon colored yarn. I may have to dye my own. If I do, I need to get started with it because this only goes until the end of March. And they said they don't care if you're finished, but I definitely want to get this started. I think this is something I would wear throughout the year. I found a beautiful neon yarn by Plymouth, I believe, and but it's worsted weight, and I have to have a sport or DK. So I'm thinking about getting some Sport Bear from Knit Picks and maybe doing some neon speckles. I don't know. I've never done speckled yarn. But I really, really want to do this knit along. I really want this cardigan, and I already did. But, yeah, I'm going to get going on that hopefully pretty soon. Y'all, I'm almost at an hour. I'm hurrying. I'm sorry. I did forget to show you one other project that I finished, and that is one of the preemie hats, the first one. And this is actually for a full-size, like full-term baby. And here it is. So you can see what it looks like with its little white brim and the sparkly yarn. And it's a very soft yarn. Even with the sparkle, it's not scratchy. So anyway, sorry about that. I wanted to show you that. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about Christmas and what's been happening and things that I made and did. Kim and I went to Fiber Fund in Mississippi. Originally, she was going to vend, but she was trying to sell her house, and she couldn't dye yarn. She's back to dyeing, even though the house hasn't sold, and because she's got a lot of shows to get ready for. But we did end up going because she took a class, a weaving class, I believe, and that was so much fun. We just went to Mississippi on Friday. We spent the night. We got up the next day. We spent the day. Her class was an all-day class. So I got to hang out with Penny and Stacy from Brazen Stitchery. I got to meet a bunch of new dyers. And I'm going to show you some of the yarns that I ended up getting at the shows this year in a few minutes. The last show that we did for the year was the East Texas Fiber Festival in that town that I can never think of. Next to Tyler. I can't think. Well, we'll talk about that later because we're going back to it again this year. And it's going to be moved this year. Anyway, we'll talk about those later. The shows, though, the fall shows were so much fun. And I ended up getting a lot of yarn at the shows and ordering yarn. So I'm going to kind of show y'all what I did. And also at the East Texas Fiber Fest, I bought an advent calendar from Brazen Stitchery. I'm going to kind of show you some of the yarns, just pull them out quickly and show you. Like I said, this is going to be a longer episode, but I am going to try to get on with it. Let's see. I'll come back to the yarns. That'll be the last thing I do. My dad, let's talk about him for a few minutes. He finished up his treatments, and it turned out that when they did the final follow-ups with the PET scan and everything looked great. And then he had to have surgery to remove his chemo port, and also he had developed a couple of hernias while he was having his chemo, so they couldn't do the treatments. Good damn, Poppy. I mean, they either had to stop the treatments and do the surgery, or they had to find a way, and he had to wear this truss to keep it in because one of them was huge. Anyway, he got that fixed and felt so much better. Now things are headed in the right direction. He's going to have a CAT scan here in a few weeks, just because that's what they have to do. And then we'll go back for another follow-up. But things are looking great. He's feeling great. And as soon as he's really feeling back to his old self again, he's going to start getting things ready, and we're going to get the houses sold, buy a house here in Houston together, and move in together. So that's going to be great. I can help him out with things with Mom. We'll all be together as a family, which will be nice. And it's going to be mutually beneficial to all. So we're all looking forward to it. And my husband is the sweetest man alive. He is all in favor of it. He said, they've helped us out in the past a lot, and it's the very least we could do. And it's going to help them. It's going to help them tremendously with just, having help. And anyway, so that's coming up, and you will know I'll probably have to take a little extra time off during that time. Moving is always so difficult for me, but we'll see. Because my goal from here on out is, unless there's an absolute reason like an illness or something, I plan to podcast every 2 weeks. You can hold me to that. Anyway, so things are really looking great with Dad. He's feeling great. But a few weeks before his final treatment, my mom had She woke up one night. She was sick, like throwing up sick. Dad couldn't help her because he had the hernias, and she couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't move. And her head was killing her. So he called the ambulance and they took her to the hospital. And this was a horrible experience. She kept saying that she had to go to the bathroom, and this nurse started screaming at her, "What we're doing here is more important than that," and all this stuff. Well, I mean, I do understand, but you could say it kindly because something was obviously not right. Well, they sent her home at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, "We can't find anything." I mean, to the minute, 1 week later, it happened again. The exact same thing. Throwing up, headache, couldn't move. Daddy, they have in their small town, they have 2 hospitals. So Daddy had her taken to the other hospital. She had a stroke. She had 2 strokes, and that first hospital couldn't see it. This is why I didn't want my dad having treatments in their hometown, or in the town they live in now. I feel like that was just a lack of concern more than anything at that first hospital, because it's a very common thing. Strokes are a very common thing, and hospitals detect them all the time. So she ended up being in the hospital and then in rehab like 6 weeks or so. It happened right before Halloween, and she didn't get out until sometime in December, I believe. So during that time, we had Dad's final treatment and the bell ringing and all that, and she couldn't be there for that. And then they ended up having Thanksgiving there, and the way my family schedule worked here, one of my sons works at Target now as in asset protection, and he had to be at work at 5 o'clock the morning after Thanksgiving. So it would have been nearly impossible for us to get everything done. I would have had to have cooked everything and taken it. You're not interested in all that. But anyway, it worked out. My friend Marie Prokop is how you would probably know her as the author. Diane is what we call her. She and her family, her husband and sons, came over, and my friend Jennifer, and we had Thanksgiving here, and it was a nice day. It was great. I felt terrible that my parents were there in the hospital, but they had Thanksgiving food there, and some friends brought food to them, and that's another reason we need to be together, because of situations like that. As a mom with grown sons, I can't just go off and leave them either, So anyway, it worked out, and everybody was happy. Nobody was upset. And so those were the holidays. We had a great Christmas. We went to my parents on Christmas Day, and then we came back here and we started opening our gifts. And we had already bought tickets to go see Aquaman, so we got to the point of stopping. I think we had our big gift, and then our stockings left, and we had so much fun. And one of my gifts, I'm just going to tell you one of my gifts that I got, was a cardboard box that I opened, and inside of it were 6 pop figures. Well, as I started pulling them out, it was Marcia and Cindy, Greg, Peter and Bobby, Brady, and Alice. But there was no Jan, and my husband said, "I don't understand. I thought Jan was going to be one of the 6. So that was, I think, the last gift I opened, but I was so excited. I love pop figures, and I am a lifelong Brady Bunch fanatic. So on the way to see the movie, I got on and I found a Jan, and I think they only had 1 left in stock. And I've almost ordered, and I thought, you know what? I am in the middle of opening my Christmas presents. How selfish can I be? So I decided not to order it. Anyway, we came back home, we got our stockings, and in my stocking was the Jan. He knew all along, of course. But here's the deal with the Jan. It was a double-sized pop box, and she's holding a phone in one hand. I really should go get them and show you. I'll show you another time. But the other part of the box had nothing. But there was a shape there for a pop figure. And if you're as big a fan of the Brady Bunch as I am, you remember that Jan had that imaginary boyfriend that time, George Glass. So this was George Glass. She was holding the phone because if you remember, she had the operator. She called the operator and she said, "I don't believe our phone is ringing. Would you mind to call it?" So the operator would call and she'd answer and she'd go, "Oh, George," and she would laugh and pretend she had a boyfriend. That's what my Jan was. Oh, it was awesome. It was a great Christmas. We had so much fun, and Aquaman was amazing. Anyway, I'm sure most of you have seen it. Jason Momoa, I love him. So now I'm going to go back and show you a couple of things that I made for Christmas. One thing I did is I decided to wrap some paper mache letters in yarn. I saw it. And I did them, and I painted the letters first in white and red. And I took and did the letters Santa. And I did the top part. I ended up doing it in a silver yarn with a silver yarn wrapped around it. Let's see if I can. You can't really see it. It's not a great picture. And then, of course, I did the middle in red. I had so much fun doing that. And let's see, what else did I make that I can show y'all. Oh no, I didn't make these. When I was 5 years old, we didn't have a ton of money, and my mom made some ornaments out of felt that year. And I had one or two of them, but I found the rest of them in a box this year that had nothing to do with Christmas. So, some of it's kind of coming loose. I'm going to have to address that issue later. But I ended up putting ribbons at the top of all of them, and I hung them in my handmade tree. So first is the Santa head. This was before I put the ribbons on. And he's beaded. Then there's the snowman that she made. He's also got beading on him. The little wreath. The bow. And then I found the stocking that she made for me. Now, at the time, for some reason, I wanted to spell my name with 2 M's, and they let me. So the name across the top is spelled with 2 M's, but she made this for me. And I hung this one up in my craft room this year. And then I put them in my tree, my handmade tree. Oh, and here it is hanging in my craft room. So, yeah, the handmade stuff just really fired me up this year. As much as I love Christmas, it fired me up even more. So, Dan and Kay Jones did Vlogmas, only they called it Advent this year. And she decided to do a couple of make-alongs. And one of them was these little felt ornaments made out of felt. And they were beaded, and I ended up making 3 of them. I think it's a 3-part, 3 parts. Anyway, I did some freehand embroidery, and you can tell it's freehand. But I'll show you the steps. First, I cut out, and you can do a person's name or whatever. I decided to freehand embroider Christmas 18 for 2018, and that goes on it. Then you put it on your piece of felt and you stitch it down. You blanket stitched, I think. And then on the front, you can do whatever you want. I chose to do a flower. And like I told you, I don't always go with traditional colors. So I did hot pink, and then my flower was neon green, and then I chose this bright yellow button to go in the center of it. I beaded the back, and then I beaded the front, and then you put your whatever you choose to put there, another heart, or like I did the flower, you could do a star. I think she did a star. And then you do ribbons. You cut strips of ribbon and you put them in behind it. I think you stitch them down, and then you stitch the button through this. So that's the only way you attach whatever you're attaching here. And then you stuff it. You attach it together with a blanket stitch and stuff it kind of towards the end, but you also attach your ribbon to hang it from the tree, which is what I did there. That was so much fun. And that was another one I added to my handmade tree. So not everything I put on there is necessarily going to be knitted, but it will be handmade. Mostly by me, but not necessarily. Oh, my pop figures are here. I can show you. Oh, and I got Mr. Rogers, y'all. I got the Mr. Rogers pop. Oh. I love Mr. Rogers. So here's Marcia. Who's that? Greg. Alice. Peter. Cindy. Bobby. Oh, sorry. Here she is. Here she is. And here's Jan with George Glass. Isn't that brilliant? I love it. I just thought it was the cutest thing, and we just had so much fun. Anyway, and I set them up on my fireplace mantle when I was done. I think I might be able to show you the last two. Yeah. I made, my older son has a girlfriend named Sarah. They just started dating, but they've known each other since they were like 15. Anyway, so I made an ornament for her and her mom. They didn't get them till January 1st, I believe. But this is one. This is Sarah's. I can't read up. Pause. Here's Sarah's. And here's her mom's, Molly. So, I mean, I just did them freehand again, the embroidery and everything, but they were so much fun. And I feel like I'll be making more felt ornaments again next year. What can I show you now? Okay, the glitter ornaments. I'm going to see if I can pull those up and show you. Some of the girls came over one day from my knitting group, and we made the felt, like the one I showed you, as well as the glitter ornaments. And what you do is you take floor polish, I almost said shoe polish, floor polish, and you pour a little bit in your clear ornament and you shake it around. You want to cover the inside of your ornament really, really, really well. And you kind of get the feel for it after a little while. I'm looking for the pictures. You get a feel for it after a while, but then you dump your glitter in, and you can add more glitter. So don't go crazy, because you don't get all of it back. You know, there's no sense in wasting it. So we made these glitter ornaments and had the best time doing it. Let me see if I can find them. Nope. Well, I don't know. Anyway, if I find them later, I'll show you. Another thing that I've started doing since the first of the year, I don't really know what's going on with me. It's kind of like I've decided that I want to do some things, and I'm just going to do them. And it's been very freeing, I guess you could say. I'm not doing anything that goes against my beliefs or anything like that. I'm just kind of cutting loose and doing things that I want to do. One of the things that I want to do is draw. Oh yeah, I took a painting class. I'll have to talk about that one another time. But I found this YouTube channel called Draw So Cute by Winnie. Now, I like anthropomorphic things, so or kawaii. So the first thing I drew was actually in my journal, and I keep a journal every week. I found the cutest journal to keep up with my family schedules, appointments, and things like that. This is a very retro 70s and 80s type thing. And I am going to town with the stickers and having so much fun with it. The only sad thing is this actually started in August, and I wasted all those months. But if they do another one of these next year, I'm going to get it. So anyway, my first drawing was in my journal, And like I said, I did this video with Draw So Cute by Winnie, and I did her little narwhal drawing. And I do them with pencil, and then I go back in and I color them. Well, I was so happy with the way it turned out that I decided to do more. And so here, I'm just going to quickly show you the ones that I've done. I've only done a few. Oh yeah, this is my Bob Ross inspired art palette. Mario. And if you want to do cute drawings like this, or your kids want to, she's very child friendly. Here's my flamingo. My flamingo's kind of got a double chin thing going on, but I did Starbucks for Valentine's last week. I thought that was so adorable. She has a bunch of Starbucks drawings. And then I did this alley, which is my least favorite of my drawings. I think I shouldn't do something that's this, like, shaped like this. Although my younger son said, it's cute. It looks like a little hamburger owl. Anyway, so that's my owl. And last night I did the fox. And I colored him with crayons. I've been using either colored pencils, or I bought some of those Papermate Flair pens, the felt tip pens that I grew up with. I don't know if anybody else did, but I decided last night that I wanted to use crayons because I wasn't finding the right color for my fox. So here's my fox that I drew last night. I'm getting a little more confident, and I'm having so much fun with it. Oh yeah, I forgot I did the raindrop. I did an experiment with the raindrop. She does her drawings with just straight up Sharpies. I have to do a pencil because I erase and erase and erase and erase. And but I decided to draw that with pencil and then go back in with a Sharpie because that paper is really thick. It's specifically for drawing, and it's still leaked through. I went ahead and did it on the very back page of that book so that if it did go through, that it wouldn't mess up anything else, and it did. So that's fine. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I just wanted to see if I could try that. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of the yarns that I got. You know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to wait. I'm going to come back to the yarns and the books next time, and I'll make a note of that for myself. So I'm going to quickly go over the last few things that I wanted to talk about. Over the holidays, I am a big, huge fan of Hallmark Channel. Christmas movies, movies throughout the year. They have that talk show on every morning, Home and Family. I watch it, and I DVR it so that if I don't get to see it, I go back and watch it. Recipes, craft projects. They have people in for self-help type deals. And I've bought some books and learned some things from. I just really get a lot out of that show, and I enjoy everybody that's on there. So, one day they said that Hallmark Channel was sponsoring the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I think it was their 25th anniversary tour. And Hallmark Channel sponsored it this year. And they were giving away 10 sets of 4 tickets each. All you had to do was go to their Facebook page and comment. I did, and later that day I got a message that I had won. I won 4 tickets to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra. So my husband and my older son and I were going to go, and my younger son as well, but he does not like to go to big crowds and concerts and stuff. So I called my friend Susan, and she went with us, and we had so much fun. It was just an amazing, amazing night. I've wanted to go to Trans-Siberian Orchestra for years and years, and my son went out to buy himself a t-shirt and bought me, the ornament is black, and it was for their 25th or 30th anniversary tour. It was an amazing show. It was not what I expected, but that's not bad. It was just amazing. So, we really enjoyed that. What else? They had Vicki Howell on there, and if you're a knitter, you probably know who Vicki Howell is. She had that show Nitty Gritty on the DIY Network years ago, pretty early on in my knitting. And I learned a lot from watching that show. Anyway, she's got one of those boxes, that box things you can order. And you could, again, comment on the Facebook page, and I did. And again, I won. So this was what it came in. Now, I could continue my subscription. I chose not to, at least for now. Not because I was disappointed. It's a great box. It's called Yarn Yay by Vicki Howe. Yarn Yay. And it came with several things. It came with this little kit from Spoonflower. And it was a little piece of yarn, fabric, excuse me. And it's a little kit to make yourself a pincushion. And I just haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. And it comes with felt that you attach, you sew onto the top. And I don't know if there's a picture of it. And that's your pincushion. It comes with the stuffing and everything you need to make it. Really a cute little add-on. I got this Little Bee lotion bar by loveandleche.com. Two of my favorite scents, lavender and mint. And it's a bee, because it's beeswax. Oh. That's amazing. I made some lotion bars for my girlfriends for Valentine's Day the other night. But it also came with a pattern for knitting or crocheting these mittens, hands-on mittens. Let me see if I can show you a picture of what they look like. Yeah. That's the knit one. And then there was a crochet one as well. Here's the crocheted one. There you go. And then it came with yarn to knit 2 pairs. So the first one is a Koigu. Koigu, is that how you say it? This is the Chelsea Merino. And it doesn't have a name, but here it is. They're both actually Koigu, Chelsea Merino. And here they are. Aren't they beautiful? I mean, I think this would be worth it. And I might go back and start doing it. It's $40 a month. And that's really not bad. But, we'll see. I'm thinking about it. So that was that. But anyway, I had a really great Christmas with Hallmark. But I'm also really crafting like crazy because of them. I made sticks. Oh. Okay. Sorry, it went to another video now. You take a silicone mold and you cut up glue sticks instead of using them in your glue gun, because that would kill your hand to have to squirt it all out into there. So you put them in their hole. Sorry. And you bake them. I think it took 5 or 10 minutes at 350 or 375. If you go to the Hallmark channel and then click on Home and Family, you can find out. Anyway, so I did those, and then I put them on bamboo skewers, and I painted them with fingernail polish, and then I just wrote on there different things. I looked up conversation hearts and found some of the things like Be Mine. But I also did, for some of my knitting friends, KFATBF, Knitting Friends Are the Best Friends. That's from Lolo Did It. And she sells these. Actually, I have a pin that one of my friends got for me. Knitting Friends Are the Best Friends from Lolo Did It. So yeah, so I did a bunch of those. I did red, pink, and then I did some purple ones. And I had some left over. I made one for my husband and each of my sons that said something different for them. And then for a couple of other non-knitting friends. So that was a lot of fun. I'm also about to make, actually part of it came in today and I've got it waiting for the rest of it, a wooden clock covered in glitter. So I'll get that made, and then next time I podcast, I'll show you. I'm so excited about that. It's going to hang in my living room because I'm all about the glitter. What else? Oh yeah, one of the reasons that I'm going to be able to podcast more often is one of the things that's been my biggest problem is writing up my show notes. Not thinking about what to write, But I have a dining table, which is so uncomfortable for me to write at. And so what I was doing was sitting on the couch writing, and I can't do that. So I bought myself a little desk. It was very inexpensive. I bought it on eBay, and I had to put it together. My husband and I put it together, and it is a really neat little desk, and it's decorated the way I want it decorated. But I sat down there, and boom, 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 I got my show notes whipped out. It's going to make my life so much easier. I sit there and I do everybody's schedule in my journal every week. And I was going to show you all my journal. I showed you part of it. But I do their schedules every week. I just write them down. And I add in things like if Dad has an appointment, or if I go meet up with people. And then I decided I wanted to start adding stickers in. It came with some stickers, and they've got some really cute ones actually in the beginning of the journal. But at the beginning of but I bought some. I'll show you those in a minute. At the beginning of every month, it says currently, making, loving, watching, hating, reading, wanting, listening, thinking, eating, planning, drinking, wishing. And then notes. So I filled in most of it this month. What am I making? Jemima Puddle Duck socks. Loving life, family, and friends. Watching The Blacklist, Doctor Who, The Goldbergs, The NCISs, and Schooled, plus a ton of other TV. I watch a lot of TV, plus Hallmark Channel. Hating, I won't talk about that. Reading, I'm reading a book on the curly girl method because I'm letting my hair go curly. I've always wanted it curly, but I didn't really think it was possible, and now I'm trying the curly girl method. It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long process, and it's not good every day, but it's better than it was fighting against the curl. And I really didn't think I was. I just thought I had horrible hair. But it's very thin. It is very thin. But I'm working on finding what products I need to use in it, and just it's curling up better and better every day. So it's a lot of fun. I'm also reading The Red String by my friend Dee Marie Prokop that I mentioned earlier that had Thanksgiving with us, she and her family. This is part of a trilogy, and it is a great book. She's such a good writer, and she brings knitting into her books. And I actually started this a long time ago, and this says nothing against this book at all. The problem is me, but I am working on reading a little bit more in it all the time because I really do want to read the whole trilogy. She's also written some other books as well, so you can find her books. I think she has a website. I'm the worst friend ever. I'll find out and let you know. You can definitely get them on Amazon, though, as well. So, Dee Marie Prokop, and the first book in this trilogy is The Red String. Very good. She writes YA books, and I love YA because they're usually cleaner, and I just enjoy them. I mean, really, the Twilight series, Harry Potter, I believe that Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children also, and I have bought the new book for that. What is it? Map of Days or something? Anyway, I haven't started that yet, but I will. I'll be getting to that. Oh, what am I listening to? True crime podcasts, and I've signed back up for Audible, and I am listening to Miss Peregrine books. I'm listening to that series of books. What am I thinking? I'm thinking positive. I bought a bracelet, which I failed to wear. It's a leather bracelet. I got it on Etsy, and she just puts on there what you want it to say. So I had her just put the word positive on there because I'm trying hard to be more positive, and I am, and it makes me think about it all the time. So I'm improving. I'm trying to improve my life. What am I eating? I'm eating more salads, and I'm exercising more, and I'm trying to lose some more weight. What am I planning? I'm planning my podcast. I'm planning knitting designs. I am planning to teach classes this year at the East Texas Fiber Festival. Now, I don't know if I've been accepted, but I did submit 2 class proposals for a small amigurumi as well as knitted balls. Because I can just do a generic Christmas ball and teach people how to do it. And then we can talk about, I'll show them the Arnie and Carlos book, and we'll talk about how to do your own designs on there. And yeah, That's going to be so much fun. I'm so hoping I get chosen to do that. Oh, what am I drinking? Coffee. And what am I wishing? I'm wishing that we could get everything settled and move in with my parents. And I'm hoping to get a new car this year. I sound like a selfish jerk, don't I? But I need a car. What else was I going to tell y'all? One of the gifts that I got from my husband for Valentine's Day was the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, and we watched it Saturday night. We hadn't seen it yet. Such a good movie. If you love Queen, you need to see it. Now be prepared to cry. I cried, and everybody I know cried. It's got some very touching moments, and it's just such a good movie about them, and you learn things. For example, I didn't realize that Freddie Mercury was from India. He's Indian. He was Indian. Had no clue. There are things that you learn about him that are just fascinating. Anyway, I mentioned earlier that my older son is dating a girl named Sarah. She's coming to see us this weekend, but we've known her. They've been friends, like I said, for more than a decade. My older son's birthday is coming up next week, and we're celebrating this weekend for his 28th birthday, and so she's going to be here for that, and my parents and most of her family, and we're all going out to eat along with some of our friends, and we're going to have a really good time. And when I come back next time, I'll show you some of the yarns that I've gotten, some of the books that I want to talk about that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. Hopefully I'll have some other projects on the needles and some other finished objects to show you. And so for now, I guess I'll stop talking. I've been going almost an hour and a half. I'm so sorry. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Tell your friends. Because one of the things I want to do is grow the podcast. So until next time, knit on.